Hi, this is Carol Conlon again, and today we're doing dowsing tip number 3, since we did 4 yesterday but forgot 3. So here it is, going to talk a little bit about the questions. And when a person is dowsing, the questions are quite important. And it's also important, though, to be extremely clear about what you're asking. So if I ask a question like, do I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and have a brother and a sister? I have just asked 3 questions at one time, and you're not going to get good answers. It has to be, do I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico? Yes or no. Do I have a brother? Yes or no. Do I have a sister? Yes or no. So that's the first thing, and it's always remember simple. Keep it simple, one question at a time. And if you're working with a person and you're talking to them about their questions, let me get this fan. It's hot here in Albuquerque. Anyway, if you're working with a person and testing for them, one problem that can happen is that they'll start thinking of another question before you're even finished with what you're working on, and that gets really complicated. So you got to tell them to shut down their mind for a minute, and then just ask your questions. Is this potato fresh? Yes. What % is it fresh? It's easy. And so one at a time. The other thing about questions is if you're about to ask something that's kind of personal, scary, important. Do I have an illness? Is my mother sick? Whatever. It may be hard for you as the dowser to stay in neutrality. And so you have to keep that in mind. And I recommend finding a pendulum buddy. My pendulum buddy lives in New Jersey. So when I want something answered, I will often just write down the 3 questions that I might want a yes or no to, number them 1, 2, 3, and then just send her an email that says, I have 3 questions. They're yes and no answers. Could you tap in and give me what you find? This way, that person is also not being drawn into any kind of drama or trauma that you might have. And so we want to look at everybody staying as neutral as possible. So my pendulum buddy will send me back an email or a text that says, number 1 is yes, number 2 is yes, number 3 is no. Okay, I have my answers. That person taps into my high self, my Trinity, and gets answers for me. And it works really well. So find yourself a pendulum buddy. Get someone else interested in working with pendulum and do the training both at the same time, and then you've got a friend to work with. Another thing about asking questions is definitely don't keep repeating the question because you don't like the answer. Back in the day when they had a lot of TV shows with people doing ghost busting, they would be in the house and they'd see something. Oh, look, the machine sparked. There's a ghost. And then they would just start up, do it again. We got to see it again to believe it. And the same thing can happen with your dowsing. And believe me, if you ask the same question 2, 3 times, Spirit is going to say, well, they don't care about the answer. We'll just give them whatever they want. And now you're definitely not getting the right answer. So the idea is to either change your question. Do I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico? My other question could be, do I live anywhere else besides Albuquerque, New Mexico? No. So I've asked 2 questions about the same thing, but they were different. So keep that in mind. It's helpful. And then finally, once you start using the pendulum and having fun with it, be sure to use it for things that are more important in life. I sometimes complain that I have clients who call up to find out what color of toilet paper they should buy. And you kind of reach a point where maybe you really don't need the pendulum for that. We're tapping into the subconscious. Yes, the subconscious wants maybe a certain color of toilet paper, but do you have to bother with the dowsing to know that? So keep your questions simple. Ask one question at a time. Find a pendulum buddy in case you need to ask certain questions. Don't keep asking the same question, and work with what's important, because your pendulum work is increasing your intuition, and it is just a tool. So remember that. Have fun. Keep asking questions, though. They're important. See you tomorrow for tip number 5.